What is up, everybody? This is Jay with YAIM Gaming here, bringing you your Walking Dead episode 12 review and talk through. So let's talk about it. The guys get inside Alexandria, and we get to see Deanna right off the bat, and she is interviewing people. And the first one she interviews is, of course, Rick, because Rick is the goddamn leader. And you can tell Rick's a little, kind of like caveman crazy when she's interviewing him. Also, she asked him if she can film it. Now, I've been thinking about why she would film it. Here's my thoughts on why she would film interviews. She says at one point during the interview with Rick that once she got out of politics, she was going to be a professional poker player because she can read people so well. And I'm thinking that what she does is goes back and watches these on that nice big flat screen TV she has on the wall above her fireplace, of course. She goes back and watches these and tries to pick up little nuances in what the people are saying and how they are acting, and thus makes her judgment on what they are capable of and how they will react to what is going on in Alexandria. Now, that could go good or bad for some of the crew. As we get to see other interviews throughout, we get to see Carol playing the, I'm saying she's playing possum. She is playing kind of ditzy, kind of clumsy, kind of, as you see when they're all turning in their weapons on the cart, and she's like, oh, like she can't get it off her shoulder. She's acting ridiculous with it. She's playing them, for one. I'm almost certain Carol is playing the fool on this one, and she's trying to make everybody think that she is weak, because if she needs to, she can put a knife through somebody's head. We all know Carol's very strong. I mean, she's done a lot to pull through on her own, saying that she misses her husband, stuff like this. Daryl has been the hardest to figure out, and I think he is just unable to cope with living inside of walls. Like, he's almost afraid to not be out there. He acted like a 12-year-old kid, is what I told my wife, sitting on that porch and just kind of, you know, cleaning the possum, which, by the way, was hilarious. When they open the gates and he's walking through and he shoots the possum with the crossbow, he goes, "We brought dinner." that was fucking hilarious, and I really enjoyed that. I really did. Good way to start the show there. So they all get inside Alexandria. You know, it keeps cutting back and forth through the interview process with a few of them throughout the entire show. We get to see Michonne, Daryl, Carol, and Rick, I believe. A little bit of Carl also in the interview process. They all come up, and Aaron shows them that, you know, these two houses right here are for you. You get to see Carl kind of going through the house. He hears something upstairs. He pulls out his knife. He goes up there. Interesting that they let them keep their knives, and Michonne got to keep her sword and stuff like that. I would have thought they would have had to turn that stuff over also. Not 100% sure why they didn't take that, but maybe that'll come into play a little later on. We'll see. How about the big girl taking away the guns, man? How you fat in the zombie apocalypse? Ain't no way you can keep eating that much food. Anyways, that's for another day. I'm sure we'll see more of her. But Rick goes inside, and you can see Rick and Carl, when they go inside, there's running water. And that's just like mind blown right there. They don't know how to act. Little scared, little freaked out. Don't know what's going on. Rick goes and gets him a hot shower and shaves the beard off. He comes downstairs shirtless. And apparently the hottest chick in the zombie apocalypse, blonde ponytail, played by Alexandra Breckenridge. Look her up. She is a very beautiful woman. Brings him a goodie basket, basically, and offers to cut his hair. I think this is kind of a sensual moment. It almost seems like she's hitting on Rick, because she kind of brings up the whole, you know, Mrs. Grimes kind of thing. And he responds with, you know, she's gone, whatever. I think she's hitting on Rick, and she bears a striking resemblance to comic book Andrea, who is still alive in the comic books. Very striking. The blonde ponytail looks exactly like Andrea. So I'm hoping that this Jesse character kind of ties in with the whole Andrea character in the comics, and they work it together. And if you haven't read the comics, I'm not going to spoil it as far as what's going to happen. But what I think is going to happen, I'm not going to say it because I just don't want to at this moment. If you want to know more, just ask me in the comment section. I'll tell you. I mean, I got no quarrels. I just don't want to spoil it for you if you don't want to know. So Rick gets the haircut, gets all clean shaven, good looking man. Daryl still hasn't taken a shower, which I don't understand why. I guess, damn, man, I bet he's starting to stink. Carol goes into housewife mode. You know, she puts on this sweater and these slacks, and she's just it's so ridiculous the way she's acted, and she's just playing these people for a fool, and it's so funny. If you really think about what she's doing, it is hilarious. And I heard some comments of people saying that this was a slow episode. I'm like, no, man, you know, Walking Dead's gonna have some episodes where it's just plot building. This was a major plot building episode. We get to see Carl meet some of the other kids in Alexandria. And you can tell immediately he's kind of like socially awkward. He meets a girl. He's probably got his eye on her because he hasn't seen a teenage girl in, what, 2 years, however long they've been out there. Later on, you see Rick going outside the gates. And Carl is watching Enid, this teenage girl, hop over the fence, and he follows her. Rick walks around the perimeter, just checking out the walls, all that kind of stuff. Goes looking for the gun in the blender, in the junk pile. The gun is gone. I personally think that this girl took the gun, as when they were pulling into Alexandria, she was outside the gates in that old house. That house couldn't have been too far from Alexandria, as, you know, they stashed it and then they were pretty much there at the Alexandria safe zone. So I'm thinking that girl's got the gun. We'll see how this comes into play. Maybe because she was from the outside, she's going to kind of feel a little more at home with Rick's group than she is with the people of Alexandria. Which, come to think of it, how many people are actually in this community? It seems like we've only seen about, what, 10 people tops that live in this community? It's not a lot. I mean, I'm expecting there to be a few more kind of here and there, but, you know, maybe that'll come in the next couple episodes. But it looks like we've only seen about 10 people, in which case they would desperately need Rick's group. And that is one of the things that Deanna says to Rick, is that we need you to kind of teach us how to survive. So they're still getting acclimated. They all sleep in one house, as Deanna shows up and says, smart move, you know, and she's giving everybody jobs. You hear Carol say that her job is to feed the elderly. That's kind of the only job we really hear about at this moment, until a little bit later on. I'm sure some of the other jobs are going to come out later on. Actually, we do find out about one more job, and I'll get into that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I guess we're getting to that point. So then they are going to go on a run. Glenn, Tara, and who else was it? Noah. Going on a run with this guy named Aiden and a guy named, what was the other guy's name? Nicholas, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. But we also learned that Aiden is a complete douchebag and has no way capable of helping himself in the outside. They have chained a walker up because it killed their friend. Now, does that even make fucking sense? You can see the three of our group, of Rick's group, immediately are like, what the fuck? You know, that's like the stupidest thing they've ever heard. They put the walker down because it got loose from the chains and it tried to kill him. It was a really cool looking walker with the skin coming off when Tara kind of grabbed it, but Glenn put a knife through its head. And I thought right then and there that Glenn was going to knock that dude out for talking shit. And the guy even said he was a douche. But he called the shots. He's going to learn real quick. They get back inside Alexandria, and the guy keeps talking shit, and eventually takes a swing at Glenn, to which Glenn ducks, and just quickly, boop, bam, knocks him on his ass. They all kind of scuffle a little bit, and Deanna shows up and thanks Glenn for teaching her son a lesson and makes a big statement on how these people are part of our group now. Every one of them is equal. That's kind of nice to hear for Rick and them. Then we find out later on, right after that she is going to make Rick and Michonne constables. And Rick gets him a cool little police outfit. And it looks like he's going to be the lawman. Now, one thing I wanted to kind of backtrack on, and I apologize for doing that. When Rick takes a walk at night, is that supposed to be a dream or is that reality? When he sees the man on the porch smoking a cigarette that says, "My wife cut your hair tonight," or today. And that guy almost sounded like he was pissed that it was his wife. He kind of had that attitude of, what the fuck, what, but we don't know where that's going. I don't know if that was a dream segment or if it was real with Rick walking around that night. We will find out more about Jessie and her husband later on. We didn't even find out his name. So we kind of close the episode out with Rick in his uniform and Daryl kind of looking at him like, oh, Jesus, this is the way it's going to be. And we get to see that he says, if they're weak, we're not going to get weak. We're going to stay strong even if we are assimilating into the community. And if they can't take care of this place, we'll take it. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember the exact quote he says. But he's saying that we will take it. Now, I don't know if that's kind of... Somebody said on a forum, is that setting up Rick to be a villain? I can't see Rick being a villain. I can't see him making that turn because everything he's done so far has been for the greater good, if you want to say. He's killed people that have tried to kill him. He hasn't just gone out of his way to kill people for no reason. Even when they took him to the prison, he didn't just kill them for no reason. When those people tried to kill him, that's when he kind of turned on that. So I don't think it's setting up Rick to be a villain or anything like that. I think it's just setting it up to say Rick means business and he's going to keep his family and the group safe no matter what. So if these people cannot take care of this place, he will take care of this place. I also want to know what happened with the 3 people that Deanna said that she exiled. Is it possible that one of them took the gun from the blender? Is that something to think about? I don't think Deanna would send people outside the wall without some form of weapons, because even she said that's sentencing them to death if they're outside the walls. But on another note, how many walkers are actually in Northern Virginia? Her quote was they evacuated over 1 million people from the Northern Virginia area, so I can't imagine that there are very many walkers still in the area. That's all I got for you folks. If you have any comments, questions, please leave them down below in the comments section. I'll be more than happy to answer anything I can pertaining to Walking Dead show or the comic book. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Later.